In February of 1990, a letter arrived at a newspaper office in Reading, Pennsylvania. No return address, no name. Just a signature at the bottom, a concerned citizen. Inside were details about a murder that had happened 16 months earlier. Details about where the body was left, how the clothing had been arranged. Details only one person could have known. The killer had just written to the press, and it would take 32 more years and a science that didn't exist yet to figure out who he was. Anna Jean Kane was 26 years old, a mother of 3, a daughter and 2 sons, living in Berks County, Pennsylvania. She'd struggled. Substance abuse, a record for prostitution and minor theft. By late 1988, she'd moved apartments several times in just a few months, and she was unemployed. The papers would later reduce her to 2 words: slain prostitute. Her daughter Tamika would spend the next 3 decades fighting that description. She was a firecracker, Tamika said, very outgoing, but not afraid of anything. A mother, a daughter, a person who did not deserve what was coming. On the night of October 22, 1988, Anna was last seen alive near Franklin and South 6th Streets in Reading. It was around 1 a.m. She would never be seen alive again. The next afternoon, a motorist ran out of gas on a rural stretch outside Shoemakersville. Walking to find help, he came across something in the brush along the Ontolani Trail. A body. It was Anna, strangled with a length of baling twine, her face bruised, evidence of a struggle before the end. Investigators didn't believe she died there. Her clothes were dry, despite an overnight rainstorm. Someone had killed her elsewhere and then driven her out to that tree line to leave her behind. DNA was collected from her clothing that day, an unidentified male profile. In 1988, that profile could tell them almost nothing. There was no national database yet, no genetic genealogy, no way to turn a few skin cells into a name, so the case went cold. In 1990, the Reading Eagle ran Anna's story on its front page, appealing to the public for any information at all. Someone answered. An envelope arrived at the newspaper's office. Inside, a typed letter signed only "A Concerned Citizen." It described the crime scene, how Anna's body had been positioned, where exactly she'd been left. Details police had never released to the public. Investigators had a theory that would stay with them for the next 32 years. Whoever wrote this letter hadn't heard about the murder. He'd committed it. They swabbed the seal of the envelope, sealed shut with saliva the way people did before self-adhesive stamps. And when they tested it, the DNA matched the unknown male profile from Anna's clothing. Same man. 2 crime scenes. Her body, and now a letter he couldn't help but send. But a DNA match to nobody is just a fingerprint with no name attached to it. And in 1990, that's all police had. For over 3 decades, that DNA profile sat in storage, run against every database available. Every time, nothing. Anna's mother waited for answers that never came. Her 3 children grew up without her. In 2018, a man named Scott Grimm died of natural causes in the Hamburg, Pennsylvania area. He was 58 years old. He'd lived his entire life 11 miles from where Anna's body was found. He'd never been arrested for anything serious enough to put his DNA in a criminal database. Except once, in 2002, when he was picked up for mailing threatening, intimidating letters to a former business associate. He liked writing letters. Nobody put it together, not yet. In 2022, Pennsylvania State Police reopened Anna's case with a technique that hadn't existed when she died: forensic genetic genealogy. Instead of searching for an exact match, investigators built out a family tree from the unknown DNA, tracing distant relatives through public genealogy databases, narrowing branch by branch. The tree led them to Hamburg, Pennsylvania, to a man who'd already been dead for 4 years, Scott Grimm. Investigators obtained a direct sample of his DNA. Police have never disclosed exactly how, given he'd been in the ground since 2018, and ran the comparison. It matched the profile from Anna's clothing in 1988. It matched the saliva on the envelope from 1990. And it matched DNA recovered from those threatening letters he'd mailed in 2002. 3 different pieces of evidence spanning 14 years of his own life, all carrying the same signature. Scott Grimm killed Jean Kane, and then 18 months later he sat down and wrote to a newspaper about it. On August 18, 2022, Pennsylvania State Police and the Berks County District Attorney stood at a podium and said, Anna Kane's killer had a name. There would be no trial, no sentencing, no moment where Scott Grimm answered for what he did. He'd been dead for 4 years before anyone knew to look at him. Anna's daughter, Tamika Reyes, just 9 years old when her mother was killed, was 43 when she finally got an answer. I felt a little bit of everything when I found out, she said. I was happy to finally put a face behind the monster who took her from us, and upset that he will never be able to face consequences. Anna's mother didn't live to see this day. She died still not knowing. Investigators still don't know exactly how Anna and Scott Grimm crossed paths that October night. Whether he was a stranger, a customer, someone she'd seen before. What they do know is this: for 32 years, a killer's own words sat in an evidence locker, waiting for the science to catch up to what he'd already confessed. He thought he was taunting them. He was leaving them the answer the whole time.